The alien battlecruiser's shadow fell across the makeshift cargo vessel Persistence, its hull scarred from countless supply runs to the failing colony below. Tom gripped the comm unit, his knuckles white against the metal as static filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is Commander Zixthar of the Hegemony Fleet. Prepare for boarding inspection." Tom's hazel eyes met Aubrey's gray ones across the cramped bridge. She crouched beside an innocuous maintenance panel, her grease-stained fingers dancing over hidden switches. The prototype defense system hummed quietly beneath the ship's hull, concealed within what appeared to be standard cargo compartments. "Acknowledged, Commander," Tom replied, his gravelly voice steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. "We're just evacuating civilians from the colony, nothing more." The alien commander's chittering laugh echoed through the speakers. "Your kind amuses me. You scatter like insects before our might, yet you still pretend defiance." Through the viewport, Tom watched as sleek alien shuttles detached from the battlecruiser, their hulls gleaming like black daggers against the starfield. The colony's distress beacon continued its desperate pulse from the planet below, broadcasting humanity's apparent weakness to the galaxy. "Boarding party approaching," Aubrey whispered, her foot tapping rhythmically against the deck plating. "Tom, if we're doing this—" "I know." Tom's jaw tightened as he watched the lead shuttle approach their docking bay. The scars on his knuckles seemed to burn with old pain. "How long do you need?" 30 seconds once I start the sequence." She pushed her goggles up her nose, auburn hair escaping from beneath her bandana. "But Tom, if this fails—" "It won't fail." His voice carried the weight of years spent protecting the colony, of too many losses and too few victories. "Your work is our only chance." The shuttle locked onto their docking clamps with a metallic clang that reverberated through the ship. Tom stood, adjusting his worn utility vest and checking his sidearm. The alien commander's voice crackled through the comm again. "Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and we will make examples of you." Tom's lips curved into a grim smile. "You want this colony? Come take it from us." Aubrey's fingers flew over the hidden controls. "Systems live," she announced, her voice crisp with barely contained excitement. "Weapon bays armed." The airlock hissed open, revealing the first wave of alien boarders, insectoid warriors with gleaming carapaces and plasma weapons. They moved with mechanical precision, mandibles clicking in what Tom recognized as their version of laughter. "Pathetic humans," the lead warrior buzzed. "You will learn—" "Now," Tom commanded. The Persistence shuddered as concealed panels slid away, revealing weapon emplacements that shouldn't exist on a cargo vessel. Aubrey's prototype system roared to life, and the first shuttle disintegrated in a brilliant flash of coherent energy. The alien commander's confident chittering cut off abruptly, replaced by shocked silence. The fight for humanity's future had begun. 3 months earlier, Aubrey's laboratory occupied the deepest level of the colony's main habitat, its walls lined with salvaged equipment and half-finished prototypes. The air tasted of ozone and desperation as she worked by the light of flickering displays, her hands steady despite the tremor in her voice. "Tom, we can't keep running supply missions forever," she said, not looking up from the weapon array she was calibrating. "The Hegemony scouts are getting bolder. They know we're here." Tom stood in the doorway, his broad shoulders filling the frame. The colony's emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across his weathered face, highlighting the premature gray in his hair. "How long until it's ready?" "Another week, maybe 2. She finally looked up, pushing her goggles onto her forehead. "But Tom, this isn't just about the colony anymore. The signals I've been monitoring, there's something bigger happening out there." The prototype weapon system gleamed under the lab's harsh lights, its crystalline core pulsing with stored energy. It was humanity's answer to alien superiority, if it worked. The Persistence bucked as another alien shuttle exploded against its hull, debris spinning away into the void. Tom gripped the pilot's controls, his knuckles white as he fought to keep the ship steady. The hidden weapon systems were performing beyond even Aubrey's projections, but the cost was enormous. "Hull integrity at 70%, Aubrey reported, her voice tight with concentration. "The power couplings are overloading faster than expected." Through the viewport, Tom could see the alien battlecruiser adjusting its position, massive weapon ports swiveling to target their ship. The colony's emergency beacon continued its desperate transmission from the planet below, where 20,000 souls waited for salvation. "Can we make another pass?" Tom asked, already knowing the answer. "Negative. The system needs time to recharge, and we're losing coolant fast." Aubrey's fingers flew over her controls, rerouting power from non-essential systems. "But Tom, I'm reading something else. The battlecruiser's scanning us with frequencies I've never seen before." The alien commander's voice crackled through the comm, no longer filled with arrogant certainty. "Impossible! Human vessels do not possess such capabilities." Tom's scarred knuckles flexed on the controls. "Surprise, you fool!" "Tom, look at this." Aubrey's screen flickered with decoded alien transmissions. "They're not just attacking us, they're recording everything, broadcasting it somewhere." The implications hit Tom like a physical blow. This wasn't just about the colony. The aliens were watching, studying, perhaps even testing them. But for what purpose? "Take us down," he decided, his voice heavy with the weight of command. "We need to regroup with the colony defenses." "The ship won't survive atmospheric entry in this condition," Aubrey warned. "Then we'll make it survive." Tom's jaw set in the stubborn line she'd come to know so well. "This fight isn't over. Not while there's still breath in our bodies." The Persistence dove toward the planet's surface, trailing plasma and debris, carrying humanity's defiance into the unknown. The Persistence screamed through the colony's thin atmosphere, her hull glowing cherry red as Tom fought to maintain control. Emergency klaxons wailed throughout the ship while Aubrey frantically rerouted power to the failing atmospheric processors. "Landing grid is compromised," she reported, her voice strained. "Tom, we're coming in too fast." "I can see that," Tom growled, his hands steady on the controls despite the ship's violent shaking. Through the viewport, the colony's sprawling habdomes grew larger with terrifying speed. Emergency protocols, all power to inertial dampeners. The ship struck the makeshift landing pad with bone-jarring force, skidding across reinforced concrete and leaving a trail of sparks. Tom's old injury flared as he was thrown against his restraints, but he maintained his grip on the controls until the Persistence finally ground to a halt. "Status report," he commanded, already unbuckling his safety harness. "Weapon systems offline for at least 6 hours," Aubrey replied, her goggles askew as she checked her instruments. "But the hull's holding. Your crazy stunt worked." Before Tom could respond, the colony's defense coordinator burst through the bridge hatch. "Commander, we've got incoming. Alien dropships, dozens of them. They're landing just outside the perimeter." Tom's hazel eyes hardened. "How long do we have?" 15 minutes, maybe less." Through the Persistence's damaged viewports, Tom could see the alien vessels descending like black tears against the orange sky. Each dropship disgorged columns of insectoid warriors, their carapaces gleaming in the dying light. "Aubrey, can you give me targeting data from orbit?" "Already on it." Her fingers flew over the portable targeting console she'd jury-rigged. "I'm linking the ship's sensors to the colony's defense grid. It won't be pretty, but we can coordinate strikes." The first wave of alien warriors reached the outer perimeter, their plasma weapons carving through the hastily erected barricades. Tom watched the tactical display with growing concern. The colonists were outnumbered 5-1. "All units, this is Commander Tom," he broadcast on the colony-wide channel. "Fall back to secondary positions. Give them the outer ring, but make them pay for every meter." "Tom," Aubrey's voice cut through the chaos, "I'm reading massive energy signatures from the battlecruiser. They're charging something big." "Orbital bombardment?" "Worse. It's some kind of focused beam weapon. If they fire that at the colony—" Tom's jaw clenched. "How long?" 3 minutes to full charge." The tactical display showed alien forces advancing through the colony's outer defenses, their systematic advance suggesting this was more than a simple raid. Tom's strategic mind raced through possibilities, discarding hopeless plans until only one remained. "Aubrey, I need you to boost the ship's communication array. Maximum power." "That'll drain our emergency reserves," she warned. "Do it." Tom's scarred knuckles flexed as he activated the colony's emergency broadcast system. This is Commander Tom to all human vessels in the sector. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. Our position is compromised, but we are not surrendering. The transmission cut through space, carrying humanity's defiance to any ship that might hear it. Tom didn't expect rescue. The colony was too far from the core worlds, but he needed someone to know what happened here. Beam weapon at 50% charge, Aubrey reported. All remaining defenders prepare for final assault, Tom commanded. We hold here, we hold now, for humanity. The alien horde surged forward, and the colony's last defenders raised their weapons against the darkness. The alien beam struck the colony's northern sector with devastating precision, vaporizing 3 habdomes in a cascade of superheated plasma. Tom watched the destruction from the Persistence's bridge, his face carved from stone as 2,300 souls vanished in an instant. Casualties confirmed. The defense coordinator's voice cracked over the comm. Sector 7 is gone. We're down to 16,000. Aubrey's hands trembled as she monitored the alien advance. They're not targeting military installations, Tom. They're hitting civilian areas deliberately. Terror tactics, Tom spat, his scarred knuckles white on the command console. They want us to break. The alien commander's voice filled the bridge, carried by the same communication frequency they'd used during the boarding attempt. Commander Tom of the human colony, you have fought better than expected, but your resistance is futile. Is it? Tom's gravely voice carried an edge of steel. Your people seemed surprised by our capabilities up there. A chittering sound that might have been laughter echoed through the speakers. Indeed, your species shows unexpected adaptability. This is why you were chosen. Tom's blood ran cold. Chosen for what? To prove whether your kind deserves to exist among the stars, or whether you should be eliminated before you spread further. The alien commander's voice carried a new tone, not hatred, but clinical detachment. This is not conquest, human. This is evaluation. Aubrey's gray eyes met Tom's across the bridge. A test, she whispered. They're testing us. Your colony represents all of humanity in this trial, the commander continued. If you surrender now, your deaths will be recorded as failure. If you continue to resist, the evaluation will proceed to its conclusion. Tom's jaw worked silently for a moment. Behind him, the colony's emergency klaxons wailed as another wave of alien warriors pressed against the defensive perimeter. The scope of what they faced was staggering. Not just their own survival, but the future of their entire species. Aubrey, he said quietly, what do you need to get the weapon systems back online? 4 more hours minimum, she replied, her voice tight with strain. The power couplings are completely fused. Then we hold for 4 hours. Tom activated the colony-wide broadcast system. This is Commander Tom to all colonists. We have just learned that our fight here determines humanity's fate in the galaxy. They're testing our species' worth. The channel filled with static, then voices, angry, frightened, defiant. We will not fail that test, Tom continued. We will show them what humanity is capable of, not just in war, but in sacrifice, in loyalty, in the bonds that hold us together when everything else falls apart. Through the viewport, Tom could see the alien forces regrouping for another assault. But something had changed in their movements, less aggressive, more observational. They were watching, studying, learning. Tom, Aubrey's voice held a note of wonder. I'm detecting multiple signals broadcasting from the battlecruiser. They're transmitting our battle across the galaxy. Then let's give them something worth watching. Tom's hand found his sidearm, checking the charge with practiced ease. All units prepare for assault. We show them what human courage looks like. The alien horde advanced again, but this time they faced defenders who understood the stakes. The fight for humanity's future had entered a new phase. Aubrey's fingers flew over the jury-rigged signal analyzer, her excitement barely contained despite the chaos around them. The alien bombardment had ceased 20 minutes ago, replaced by an eerie calm that made Tom's skin crawl. "Tom, you need to see this," she said, her voice tight with discovery. "I've been monitoring the battlecruiser's transmissions. They're not just broadcasting to their fleet." "What do you mean?" "This." She gestured to the display, where cascading data streams painted a picture that made Tom's blood run cold. Hyperspace relay stations, quantum entanglement networks, subspace beacons, This signal is going everywhere. The entire galaxy is watching us." Tom studied the tactical display, his weathered face grim. "How many?" "Thousands of species, maybe more. The signal's encoded, but I'm reading confirmation responses from star systems across 3 spiral arms." Aubrey pushed her goggles up her nose, auburn hair escaping from beneath her bandana. "Tom, this isn't just a test for humanity, it's a broadcast execution." The implications hit Tom like a physical blow. The alien commander had spoken of evaluation, but this was something far more sinister. They weren't just being tested, they were being displayed to the galaxy as an example of what happened to species that failed to measure up. "Status on the weapon systems?" he asked, his voice deceptively calm. "Still 3 hours minimum, but Tom, I'm detecting something else." Her foot tapped rhythmically against the deck plating, a nervous habit Tom had learned to recognize. "The transmission protocols, they're not one way. Someone's responding." The bridge's emergency lighting flickered as another power coupling overloaded. Through the viewport, Tom could see the alien forces maintaining their positions around the colony's perimeter, but their behavior had changed. Instead of pressing the attack, they seemed to be waiting. "Can you decode the responses?" Tom asked. "Working on it." Aubrey's hands moved with practiced efficiency across her jury-rigged console. "The encryption is unlike anything I've seen, but there are patterns. Give me a few minutes." Tom activated the colony-wide channel. "All units maintain defensive positions. Do not engage unless fired upon." The response was immediate and angry. "Commander, they're slaughtering us out here." "I know," Tom replied, his gravelly voice carrying the weight of command. "But something's changed. They're not attacking anymore. They're performing." As if to emphasize his point, the alien commander's voice filled the bridge. "Commander Tom, you have exceeded initial parameters. The evaluation will now proceed to secondary protocols." "What does that mean?" Tom demanded. "Your species has demonstrated unexpected combat effectiveness. This was the first trial. The second will test your capacity for unity under duress." Aubrey's console chimed with decoded data. "Tom, I've got partial translations of the galactic responses. Most of them are skeptical. They're not expecting us to pass whatever comes next. But some are. A few. Very few." She looked up from her instruments, gray eyes reflecting the emergency lighting. "There's one signature that keeps appearing. It's different, almost like they're rooting for us." Tom's scarred knuckles flexed unconsciously. "Then we don't disappoint them." The alien commander's voice returned, carrying an edge of anticipation. "The second trial begins now. Your colony's loyalty to each other will be tested. We will offer temptations, create divisions, expose the fractures in your unity. Most species fail this stage." "Most species," Tom repeated softly, "but not all." Through the viewport, the alien forces began moving again, but not toward the colony. They were repositioning, creating a different kind of threat. Tom realized with growing dread that the real test was just beginning. Tom's voice cut through the static on the colony-wide channel, carrying the weight of humanity's future. "Citizens of New Terra Colony, this is Commander Tom. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I need you to listen." In the habdomes, scattered across the colony's landscape, families huddled around their communication units. Children pressed close to their parents while maintenance workers and engineers paused in their desperate repairs to hear their leader's words. "The aliens attacking us aren't conquerors," Tom continued, his gravelly voice steady despite the chaos around him. "They're judges. The entire galaxy is watching to see if humanity deserves to survive among the stars." The response was immediate. Angry voices, frightened cries, demands for explanation. Tom let the noise wash over him before continuing. "I know how it sounds, but we have proof. Right now, thousands of alien species are watching our fight, waiting to see if we'll break under pressure. If we fail, humanity will be marked for extinction." In the Persistence's bridge, Aubrey worked frantically to restore the weapon systems, her hands steady despite the magnitude of what they faced. "Power couplings are responding," she reported, "but we're still 2 hours from full operational capacity." "Then we hold for 2 hours," Tom replied, his jaw set in the stubborn line she'd come to know so well. "All units, prepare for the next wave. They're going to try something different this time." The alien forces had indeed changed their tactics. Instead of direct assault, they were broadcasting messages directly to individual colonists. Offers of safe passage, promises of comfortable lives as servants, threats against loved ones. The psychological warfare was surgical in its precision. Tom, the defense coordinator's voice crackled over the comm. We're getting reports of surrender requests from Sector 4. 3 families want to defect. Denied, Tom said firmly. No one leaves, no one surrenders. Sir, with respect, you can't force people to die for... I'm not forcing anyone to die, Tom interrupted. I'm asking them to live for something bigger than themselves. Patch me through to Sector 4. The connection opened to reveal the Hernandez family. Parents and 2 young children huddled in their damaged HAB unit. Mrs. Hernandez's eyes were red with tears as she clutched her infant son. Commander, please, she pleaded. The aliens say they'll take us to a safe world. My children don't have to die for this. Tom's expression softened, the harsh lines of command giving way to something more human. Maria, I know you're scared. I know this seems impossible, but if we surrender now, there won't be any safe worlds for humans. Not anywhere. How can you ask us to sacrifice our children? She demanded. I'm not asking you to sacrifice them, Tom replied. I'm asking you to save them. Every human child who will ever be born. Every family who will ever look up at the stars and wonder if they belong there. Behind him, Aubrey's voice cut through the emotional tension. Tom, I'm reading massive energy buildups from the battlecruiser. They're charging multiple weapon systems. Through the viewport, the alien forces began advancing again, but their movements were different. More cautious, more observational. They were testing the colony's resolve, looking for cracks in their unity. All units, hold your positions, Tom commanded. Do not fire unless fired upon. We show them what human discipline looks like. The next hour passed in agonizing tension. The aliens probed the colony's defenses, broadcasting offers and threats, but the colonists held firm. Tom's words had reached them, and they understood the stakes. Weapon systems at 80%, Aubrey reported. But Tom, the power drain from the upgraded systems is enormous. We'll have one shot at full power before we need to recharge. Then we make it count, Tom replied. All units, prepare for final assault. We show them what human courage looks like. The alien horde surged forward, and the colony's defenders raised their weapons against the darkness. The Persistence settled into the colony's expanded landing bay with a grinding of stressed metal, her hull scarred from the orbital battle. Tom emerged from the airlock, his utility vest torn and stained with coolant fluid, to find the colony's leadership waiting in the maintenance hangar. Commander, the engineer stepped forward, his gaunt frame hunched apologetically. We've done what we can with the repairs, but we're going to need more time to... How much time? Tom interrupted, his hazel eyes scanning the assembled group. The faces looking back at him carried the weight of too many losses, too much fear. Another 6 hours for full system restoration, the engineer replied, his shifty blue eyes avoiding direct contact. Maybe 8 if we encounter more problems. Aubrey emerged from the ship, her lab coat now more grease than fabric, carrying a portable diagnostic unit. Tom, I need to check the power couplings manually. The automated systems are giving false readings. Do it, Tom commanded, then turned to address the gathered colonists. I know you're scared. I know this seems impossible, but the aliens have given us a chance to prove ourselves, and we're going to take it. Dr. Aaron McDuff, the colony's chief administrator, stepped forward. Tom, we've lost 3,000 people. 3,000. How many more have to die before you admit this is hopeless? It's not hopeless, Tom replied, his voice carrying the certainty of command. We've hurt them. We've shown them something they didn't expect. That's why they're testing us instead of just wiping us out. Testing us? The engineer's voice cracked with barely controlled hysteria. They're torturing us, playing with us like... Like what? Tom's scarred knuckles flexed unconsciously. Like we're beneath their notice? Like we're not worth their time? No. They're testing us because they're afraid of what we might become. In the ship's lower decks, Aubrey crawled through the maintenance tunnels, her portable scanner casting eerie shadows on the hull plating. The power couplings were more damaged than she'd initially thought. Someone had been tampering with them. Tom, she spoke into her comm unit, I'm finding evidence of sabotage down here. Someone's been feeding overload commands to the power grid. The hangar fell silent as Tom's expression darkened. Sabotage? Internal access code, someone with engineering clearance. Aubrey's voice carried a note of discovery that made Tom's blood run cold. Tom, this wasn't battle damage. Someone deliberately tried to disable our weapons. All eyes turned to the engineer, whose face had gone pale. I don't know what she's talking about. The systems were damaged in the fight, that's all. Show me your access logs, Tom commanded, his hand moving instinctively toward his sidearm. This is ridiculous, the engineer protested, but his voice held the tremor of a man whose lies were crumbling. You can't seriously think I would. The logs, Tom repeated, his gravelly voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. The engineer's shoulders sagged as the weight of his deception became too much to bear. They offered me a way out, he whispered, a transport to the core worlds, my family, my children. Your family is here, Dr. McDuff said, her voice filled with disgust. All of our families are here. You don't understand, the engineer pleaded. They said the colony was doomed anyway, that this was just prolonging the inevitable. They offered me a chance to save my wife and daughter. Tom's jaw clenched as he processed the betrayal. And you believed them? I was scared. We're all scared, Tom replied, but we don't sell out our neighbors for empty promises. Through the hangar's reinforced windows, the alien forces could be seen maintaining their positions around the colony's perimeter. Their behavior had changed again, more watchful, more analytical. They were studying the colonists' reaction to internal betrayal. Tom, Aubrey's voice crackled through the comm, I can fix the sabotage, but I need help, someone I can trust. On my way, Tom replied, then turned to the assembled colonists. We have a choice. We can tear ourselves apart over one man's weakness, or we can learn from it and become stronger. Dr. McDuff stepped forward. What do you need us to do? Help Aubrey repair the damage, guard the ship, and remember that our unity is our strength. Tom's scarred knuckles flexed as he prepared to descend into the ship's depths. The aliens are counting on us to break. Let's disappoint them. The maintenance tunnels beneath the Persistence were a maze of conduits and cable runs, lit only by the emergency lighting in Aubrey's portable scanner. Tom followed her through the cramped space, his broad shoulders scraping against the hull plating as they traced the sabotage to its source. Here, Aubrey said, her voice tight with concentration. The engineer rerouted the power grid through a feedback loop. One more weapon discharge and the whole system would have overloaded. Can you fix it? Already working on it. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, rerouting cables and replacing damaged components. But Tom, this is sophisticated work. Someone taught him how to do this. Before Tom could respond, the ship's hull rang with the sound of impact. Emergency klaxons began wailing as the colony's defense coordinator's voice filled the corridors. All units, we have incoming. Alien forces are advancing on all fronts. Tom activated his comm unit. Status report? They're not attacking, came the confused reply. They're watching, like they're waiting for something. Through the ship's hull, Tom could hear the distant sound of the alien commander's voice broadcasting across the colony. Humans of New Terra, your internal divisions have been observed. The trial continues. Internal divisions, Tom muttered. They're testing our response to betrayal. Tom, look at this. Aubrey's scanner had detected something else, a small device attached to the ship's communication array. It's a transmission beacon. The engineer wasn't just sabotaging our weapons, he was feeding information to the aliens. The implications were staggering. The aliens hadn't just been testing the colony's military capabilities, they'd been monitoring their internal communications, their fears, their weaknesses. Can you trace the signal? Tom asked. Already did. It's broadcasting too. Aubrey's voice trailed off as she stared at her scanner. Tom, this isn't going to the alien fleet. It's going somewhere else entirely. The scanner's display showed a signal path that led far beyond the local star system, through a network of relay stations to a distant point among the stars. Whatever was receiving these transmissions was far removed from the battle itself. The Galactic Council, Tom realized. They're not just watching the public broadcast, they're monitoring our private communications. Which means they know about the sabotage, Aubrey said. They know we caught the traitor. As if summoned by their words, a new voice filled the ship's corridors. Not the harsh chittering of the alien commander, but something else entirely. Melodic, almost musical, with the cadence of wind chimes. "Commander Tom of the human colony," the voice said. "I am Observer Veltar of the Galactic Council. Your handling of internal betrayal has been noted." Tom activated the ship's communication system. "Noted how?" "Your species' capacity for forgiveness and redemption exceeds projections. The engineer's betrayal was expected, your response was not." Through the viewport, Tom could see a new ship approaching. Sleek, ethereal, completely unlike the angular vessels of the alien fleet. It settled into orbit with impossible grace, its hull shimmering with colors that had no names. "The trial continues," Observer Veltar continued, "but parameters have been adjusted. Your species shows promise." "Promise for what?" Tom demanded. "For membership in the galactic community, if you can pass the final test." In the maintenance tunnel, Aubrey's hands flew over her repairs. "Tom, I'm reading massive energy buildups from the battlecruiser. They're charging everything they have." "The final test," Tom muttered. "All units prepare for assault. This is it." "Tom," Aubrey's voice held a note of wonder, "the weapon systems are fully restored. But more than that, the sabotage device was feeding power back into our systems. We're actually stronger than before." Tom's scarred knuckles flexed as he prepared to climb back to the bridge. "Then let's show them what humanity is really capable of." The alien horde began their final advance, but this time they faced defenders who understood their true purpose. The battle for humanity's place in the galaxy was about to reach its climax. The Persistence's bridge hummed with barely contained energy as Aubrey worked frantically at her expanded console array. The ship's weapon systems were fully restored, but she'd discovered something far more valuable in the sabotage device's data streams. "Tom, I've cracked their communication protocols," she announced, her gray eyes bright with excitement behind her smudged goggles. "The Galactic Council's entire network is laid bare. I can access their command frequencies, their tactical databases, even their voting records." Tom studied the tactical display, watching as the alien forces arranged themselves in precise formations around the colony. Their movements had taken on a ritualistic quality, less military maneuver than elaborate performance. "What are you thinking?" he asked, recognizing the calculating expression that meant Aubrey was about to propose something brilliant and probably dangerous. "I'm thinking we turn their own test against them." Her foot tapped rapidly against the deck plating. "Look at this data. The Galactic Council doesn't just observe these trials, they broadcast them as entertainment. Thousands of species tune in to watch lesser civilizations fail." Entertainment. Gladiatorial combat on a galactic scale. But Tom, here's the key. The broadcasts are interactive. The audience can vote, influence the trial parameters, even communicate directly with the subjects. Tom's scarred knuckles flexed as he processed the implications. "You want to hack their broadcast?" "I want to hijack it." Aubrey's hands moved with practiced efficiency across her controls. "Show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of, not just as warriors, but as a species worth preserving." Through the viewport, the alien forces had completed their deployment. The battlecruiser hung in orbit like a sword of Damocles, its weapon ports glowing with stored energy. But Tom's attention was focused on the ethereal Council Observer ship, its hull shimmering with impossible colors. "Observer Veltar," Tom spoke into the communication system, "we know about the broadcast. We know this is entertainment for the galaxy." The melodic voice responded without hesitation. "You are more perceptive than anticipated, Commander Tom. Yes, the trials serve multiple purposes, but the evaluation remains valid." "Then let's make it a fair evaluation." Tom nodded to Aubrey, who began implementing her plan. "All units, prepare for final assault. But this time we're not just fighting for the colony. We're fighting for every human who will ever live." Aubrey's modifications to the communication array went live, piggybacking on the alien broadcast network. Suddenly, the Persistence was transmitting directly to the galactic audience, bypassing the Council's editorial control. "Citizens of the galaxy," Tom's voice carried across the stars, "you've been watching us die for your entertainment, but we're not here to amuse you. We're here to show you what humanity stands for." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of alien voices flooded the communication channels, some jeering, others expressing surprise at the humans' technological capabilities. But hidden among the chaos, Tom could hear voices of support. Species that had passed their own trials, civilizations that remembered what it felt like to fight for survival. "The final test begins now," the alien commander's voice cut through the galactic chatter. "Survive the next hour, and your species will be judged worthy of contact. Fail, and humanity will be marked for extinction." "Tom," Aubrey's voice held a note of urgency, "I'm detecting massive power buildups from the battlecruiser. They're charging something that's reading off the scale." Through the bridge's viewports, Tom could see the alien weapon ports beginning to glow with destructive energy. But he could also see something else: response signals from across the galaxy, species that were actively voting in humanity's favor. "The galaxy is watching," he announced on the colony-wide channel. "Let's give them something to remember." The alien forces began their final assault, and the colonists rose to meet them. But this time they weren't fighting alone. The galaxy was watching, and some of them were cheering for humanity's survival. The alien battlecruiser's weapon ports glowed with destructive energy. But Tom could also see something else: response signals from across the galaxy, species that were actively voting in humanity's favor. "The galaxy is watching," he announced on the colony-wide channel. "Let's give them something to remember." The alien forces began their final assault, and the colonists rose to meet them. But this time, they weren't fighting alone. The galaxy was watching, and some of them were cheering for humanity's survival. The air in the Persistence's bridge crackled with raw power, the ship groaning under the strain of Aubrey's amplified systems. Outside, the final alien assault was a maelstrom of plasma fire and desperate defense. Tom watched the tactical display, his heart pounding a rhythm against his ribs that matched the thrum of the ship's engines. The alien commander's voice, now laced with a hint of desperation, echoed through the comms, demanding surrender. But his words were drowned out by the rising tide of galactic chatter that Aubrey was now broadcasting directly to the colony. "They're getting through, Tom," Aubrey shouted over the din, her face flushed with exertion. "Support messages, tactical advice, even schematics for defensive maneuvers. They're not just cheering, they're helping." Indeed, the tactical display flickered with new data streams, unexpected vulnerabilities in the alien formations, optimal firing solutions for the colony's aging turrets, even real-time analysis of the battlecruiser's energy signatures. It was a chaotic symphony of information, but it was working. The colonists, initially overwhelmed, were adapting, their movements becoming more coordinated, their fire more precise. "Focus fire on their flanks," Tom roared into the comm, relaying a suggestion that had just appeared on his console, attributed to a species identified only as the Lumina Collective. "Push them back from Sector 6. The colony's defenders, empowered by the unexpected influx of data, responded with renewed ferocity. Plasma bolts ripped through alien lines, and improvised barricades held firm against the insectoid warriors. The Persistence, now a beacon of defiance, unleashed a torrent of coherent energy from its reactivated weapon bays, tearing through an alien dropship that had ventured too close. The sabotage intended to cripple them had inadvertently supercharged their defenses, channeling excess energy back into the system. Observer Veltar's melodic voice cut through the chaos, a stark contrast to the battle's roar. "Commander Tom, your species' capacity for adaptation under extreme duress is remarkable. The parameters of the final test are being reevaluated." "Reevaluated how?" Tom demanded, his gaze fixed on the battlecruiser. Its weapon ports, once glowing with overwhelming power, now pulsed erratically. "The Council is divided," Veltar replied, a hint of something akin to awe in its tone. "Many believed your failure was inevitable. Your defiance, amplified by your unconventional broadcast, has swayed a significant portion of the observers." Aubrey let out a triumphant whoop. "They're arguing amongst themselves. The voting is off the charts. We're breaking their system, Tom." Suddenly, the alien battlecruiser shuddered, not from a hit, but from an internal tremor. Its weapon ports dimmed, then flared again, but with less intensity. A new signal appeared on Aubrey's console, an urgent encrypted message from the battlecruiser itself. "Tom, I'm getting a direct hail from the alien commander," Aubrey said, her eyes wide. "He's requesting a parley." Tom's jaw tightened. "Put him through on all channels. Let the galaxy hear." The alien commander's voice, once arrogant and clinical, was now filled with a strained urgency. "Commander Tom, this is Commander Zixthar. Cease hostilities. The trial is suspended." "Suspended?" Tom scoffed. "You think you can just turn off a war when it suits you? We're not your playthings, Zixthar." "My orders have changed," Zixthar insisted, a guttural click audible in his voice. "The Council's verdict is in flux. A new directive has been issued. We are to disengage and await further instructions." Through the viewport, the alien forces began to withdraw, their disciplined formations breaking into a less organized retreat. Dropships lifted off, and the battlecruiser slowly began to ascend, its weapon ports now completely dark. The sudden silence was deafening, broken only by the distant wails of the colony's emergency klaxons and the relieved shouts of the defenders. "They're leaving," Aubrey whispered, disbelief coloring her voice. "They're actually leaving." "It's not over," Tom said, though a wave of exhaustion washed over him. "This was just a reprieve. They'll be back, or something else will come." Observer Veltar's voice returned, clearer now that the battle's din had subsided. "Commander Tom, your assessment is accurate. The initial phase of the trial has concluded. Your species has demonstrated a remarkable capacity for resilience, unity, and unexpected innovation. The Council has voted to proceed to the next stage of evaluation, integration." "Integration?" Tom repeated, a knot forming in his stomach. The word sounded benign, but after what they just endured, he trusted nothing. "Yes, a delegation will arrive within your solar cycle. They will assess your societal structures, your cultural values, your capacity for peaceful coexistence. This is the true test of your worthiness for galactic citizenship." Aubrey looked up from her console, her expression a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Galactic citizenship? Tom, we just fought a war for our right to exist, and now they want to invite us to their club?" "It's a different kind of fight, Aubrey," Tom replied, running a hand through his thinning hair. "One we're even less prepared for." Over the next few weeks, the new Terra colony transformed from a besieged outpost into a hub of unprecedented galactic activity. The Persistence, patched up and still bearing the scars of battle, became a symbol of humanity's defiance. The alien battlecruiser remained in orbit, a silent, watchful presence, but no further hostilities occurred. Instead, a sleek, unarmed diplomatic vessel, even more ethereal than Veltar's observer ship, descended and landed gracefully near the colony's main habdome. The delegation was led by observer Veltar itself, accompanied by an array of beings from various species that had voted in humanity's favor during the trial. There were the towering crystalline lumina, whose silent, shimmering forms communicated through intricate light patterns, the squat, multi-limbed Cathar, whose chittering language was surprisingly melodic, and even a representative from a species that resembled sentient walking trees, their bark-like skin radiating a calming aura. Commander Zixthar was also present, his mandibles no longer clicking with aggression, but with what Tom interpreted as grudging respect. The initial meetings were tense. The Council representatives, despite their earlier awe, were meticulous in their examination. They probed every aspect of human society, their history of conflict, their resource consumption, their social hierarchies. They observed the colonists' desperate efforts to rebuild, their shared grief for the lost, and their fierce determination to survive. Tom found himself in endless discussions with Veltar, explaining humanity's motivations, its flaws, and its aspirations. He spoke of the bonds of family and community, the drive to explore, the insatiable curiosity that pushed them to reach for the stars. Aubrey, meanwhile, became an unlikely celebrity among the scientific delegates, her ingenious engineering and rapid decoding of alien tech earning her the admiration of even the most ancient galactic scholars. One evening, as the twin suns of New Terra set, casting long shadows across the recovering colony, Tom found Veltar observing a group of human children playing a boisterous game of kickball. "You're young," Veltar's melodic voice resonated. They exhibit a remarkable capacity for joy even after such hardship. "We try to give them a future worth fighting for," Tom replied, his gaze soft as he watched the children. Indeed, many species after such a trial would be consumed by fear, by resentment. Yet, you're kind, you rebuild, you laugh, you hope. Veltar turned its shimmering form towards Tom. "The Council's decision is not yet final, Commander. There are still those who argue for your species' containment or even eradication. They fear your potential for aggression, your rapid technological advancement." "We're not perfect," Tom admitted. "We've made mistakes, but we learn, we adapt." "That is precisely what concerns them," Veltar said, its form shifting, creating a ripple of light. "The speed of your adaptation, the ferocity of your will to survive, it is unprecedented." The next day, the Council delegation convened for their final assessment. Tom, Aubrey, and Dr. McDuff stood before them, representing humanity. Commander Zixthar was also present, his presence a stark reminder of the recent conflict. "Humans of New Terra," Veltar began, its voice echoing in the makeshift assembly hall, "your species has undergone a rigorous evaluation. Your military capabilities, your societal cohesion, your capacity for innovation, and your response to internal and external pressures have all been observed." A holographic display flickered to life, showing scenes from the battle. The Persistence tearing through alien shuttles, the colonists holding their lines, the moment of the engineers' betrayal, and the subsequent unity of the colony. It also showed the galactic broadcast, the outpouring of support, and the Council's own heated debates. "The Council remains divided," Veltar continued. "There are those who see your species as a threat, a volatile element that could destabilize the delicate balance of galactic peace. They point to your history of internal conflict, your resource-intensive development, and your aggressive expansionist tendencies." Tom felt a pang of despair. Had it all been for nothing? However, Veltar's voice took on a new resonance. "There are others who see your species as a vital addition to the galactic tapestry. They argue that your capacity for rapid evolution, your fierce loyalty, your boundless curiosity, and your remarkable ability to forge unity from adversity are precisely what the galaxy needs." Veltar paused, its shimmering form radiating an almost palpable tension. "The final vote has been cast. The decision is to extend an invitation." A collective gasp swept through the assembly hall. Tom felt Aubrey's hand squeeze his arm. "An invitation to what?" Dr. McDuff asked, her voice barely a whisper. "To join the Galactic Alliance," Veltar announced, its voice ringing with finality. "To become a full member of the interstellar community, to share in its knowledge, its resources, and its responsibilities." Commander Zixthar, who had been stoic throughout the proceedings, stepped forward. "My people, the Cathar, will be your initial mentors in the Alliance's protocols. We will oversee your integration into galactic society." A low chittering sound, almost a sigh, escaped him. "You fought well, humans, perhaps too well." The path to integration was long and arduous. Humanity had to learn the complex web of galactic laws, the nuances of interstellar diplomacy, and the myriad cultures of thousands of species. The Persistence, now fully repaired and upgraded with alien technology, became the first human vessel to travel beyond their solar system under the Alliance banner, with Tom still at its helm, often accompanied by Aubrey, who continued to push the boundaries of xenotech. The New Terra colony flourished, becoming a beacon of human resilience and a symbol of their unexpected entry into the galactic stage. The children who had played kickball under the watchful eyes of Veltar grew up to become the first generation of human diplomats, scientists, and explorers to venture into the vast unknown. Humanity, once an isolated species fighting for survival, had found its place among the stars. The trials had been brutal, the betrayals painful, but through it all, they had held firm. They had shown the galaxy not just what human courage looked like, but what human potential could truly achieve. The fight for humanity's future had not ended with a single battle, but with the promise of an infinite journey, a journey they would now embark upon as equals among the stars. The universe, once a cold, empty void, was now their home.